Hi, this is Sandy. In today's video, I just wanted to share a little mini art haul of some products that I have purchased recently. I'm on a figures and mainly faces kick at the moment. I've really been enjoying experimenting with painting and drawing faces. Um, so I just wanted to get some low pressure and experimental and fun art materials really to experiment with. Firstly, I bought this 48 set of Mungyo oil pastels. I bought them from a shop called The Range here in the UK, and they were really cheap. They were like £6.99, and I thought oil pastels would be a good place to start. Um, First time I've used them. I've already swatched these out, and I have played with them briefly, and I wasn't 100%, I wasn't impressed really, shall we say, initially. So I wanted to just, in this video, I just wanted to kind of give them a bit more of a try out really, give them more of a test run, see if, I could change my mind on them a little bit, and compare them with some other materials just for the purposes of this video, and just in case anyone else has wondered about these and has thought about them, maybe it might help somebody else make up their mind on those. So I also purchased a pack of 10 watercolor brush pens from Ecoline. They are skin tone colors. So that's a pack of 10, and they're just really lovely. They look like really lovely skin tone colors and just perfect for experimenting when you don't have a lot of time, and things like that. If you just want a quick material to just grab in at the end of the day, if you're just like tired and you just think, oh, I don't want to get all my paints out, but I do want to do a little doodle or just practice my art and things like that. I thought they might be a really good product. I'm really trying to build up a daily drawing habit and just get really almost, like a healthy addiction to drawing, really, just so that it becomes so second nature that, I just want to do it all the time, and it's working, especially with this new interest in figure drawing and drawing faces. I'm finding it's really lighting me up, and it's really doing it for me at the moment. So I just thought that these would be a really nice product to try. I don't have many marker pens. I have some of the Winsor and Newton watercolor pens, but they are all really bright colors, and not really good, or I haven't found them great for what I would like them for at the moment, which is portraits and things like that. So I just wanted a, basic starter set really of just some nice skin tones and things like that. So there's those. I also, off the back of not really loving the Mungyo oil pastels, but also not wanting to spend a load of money on a really expensive set, I found a pack of 26 extra soft oil pastels by Monte Marte. Um, they look like a really good kind of limited, I'd say, palette with muted natural colours. Not too expensive. They were about £14 on Amazon. So um, I was tempted by, there are lots of other beautiful looking oil pastel sets out there, but as I'd already spent a couple of pounds on some others that I wasn't entirely happy with, and I'm trying to keep prices down and my buying down this year, I thought, this is kind of like a happy medium, really. They've got, you see on the back there, they've got some really lovely natural muted colours, and I was just really interested in giving them a go really and seeing what they were like. Um, I also was interested in the fact that they said that they were extra soft. I wondered if they would be a bit more blendable and softer than the Mungyo ones. So be really interested to give them a go. Um, on the back it says that they are extra soft and creamy texture, exceptional colour blending, which will be helpful for skin tones and things. And it advises on the back that you should use them on texture paper, coloured stock card, or you can use them on canvas. So there's those. I also, off the back of my interest in painting faces, I seen this book come up a lot in other YouTube videos. I've watched some of Jane Davenport's videos. She's amazing, and I just wanted to give one of her books a try. And because I'm just trying to start at the beginning, just starting with faces, I thought this would be a really good first book. Also, I love her style. It's not, it's more about expressiveness and, playfulness and joyfulness. And I just really love the style of her art. So as you can see, a really well put together book, beautiful pages. So she starts off with like a bit of an intro to her art and her practice and things, look in her studio. Then you also have some things like surfaces, advice on what surfaces to work on, how to prepare your surfaces like gesso and things, talking about different mediums, acrylics, how you can use pastels for portraits, watercolors, um, marker pens, what pens to use, advice on stencils, ephemera, things like that. Lots of different bits and bobs in there. What I found particularly handy is just the way it's broken down on certain pages. For example, as you can see here, like a step by step, this is how you would draw a face in that style. And also this page is particularly helpful, I feel. Basic shapes, broken down really clearly, how you divide up, where to place your features and things like that, and also done in a lovely style. On this page as well, I think it's breaking it down into a bit more detail with measurements and things like that. So loads of little projects in there as well, with different things to try and different ways of experimenting. So I'm really looking forward to dipping into this book. So that was everything from the mini haul. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to look at each of these products in a bit more detail, test them out, swatch them out, and then at the end I'm just going to have a little bit of a play around with them, see if I can create a silly, fun, expressive base. Yeah, just test them out in a bit more detail at the end. So I'll be right back. So I've just grabbed the Ecoline brush markers. I'm just going to test them out on my Daler Rowney Expedia pad. It's 230 GSM paper and it's A4 size. I think it's about £11. It's a really good, just a playing around paper really. So I'm just going to swatch these out. I've sped it up a bit and I will come back in a sec and I'll discuss thoughts on colours and how well they activated with water. So I'm just going in now and I'm activating the paints. The thing I found was that the longer you leave it, the harder they are to activate. And I also feel like the paler colours, they don't have as much pigment naturally because they're paler colours. So it's important that if you want to activate them, you do it as soon as you can, regards to when you've put the pigment on the paper really. As you can see at the bottom here, the darker pigment, it's activating quite well. And again, the kind of like the umberish colour there is activating okay as well. It's not, not a ton of pigment comes out, but I think because I've done it quite harshly, that might be an issue as well. But like as I said, the paler colours are not, they're not very easily activated once they've dried, I guess. So the quicker you can do that, the better. The colour I'm just putting down at the moment, I'm going to activate straight away and see if that makes a difference, and it does. So as you can see, when you activate it straight away with water, it's got a really lovely translucent and pale colour, which I guess if you do this a couple of times, you could probably build up a really nice layer of skin tone which is what I'm looking to do. But I definitely need to think about doing it on a stronger paper, you know, a thicker paper. I test out another colour as well just to check the activation, and it's like a slightly darker but pinker tone, and that activates quite nicely as well. But again, it's very, very delicate. As you can see, they blend in quite nicely together, which I am really happy about, because I just wanted, you know, like really delicate colours. They'll be really nice for skin tones, and I feel like you could probably blend them up and layer them quite well over time, which will be really interesting. So overall, I was really happy with the colours. I haven't had a set before that has, you know, such muted, delicate tones. So for what I want, for doing faces and portraits and things, I feel like they'll be really handy. So here I've just noted the colours on for you in case anyone's interested. Just noted them out there because I didn't do a very good job of telling you when I was swatching them out. So if anyone's interested, there is a list of the colours, and I was really happy with those. So moving on, I'm just going to grab the Monte Marte oil pastels, and I'm going to do a swatch of them next. So this is the set of 26 Extra Soft Oil Pastels by Monte Marte. I was really excited to get my hands on these. After doing my research, after not being 100% sold on the Mungyo oil pastels, I just kind of knew that these would be, you know, they'd be good. So was really happy to check these out. I'm trying to get into the packaging here. It took me way longer than it should. It's actually quite embarrassing. I could not get the box open. I had to literally prise it apart. It took ages. It's really embarrassing. Oh, so moving on. On the inside of the box, there's they've listed out the colours. So I hope you can see that, just in case anyone's interested in exactly what the colours are. So there's a really nice selection of pale yellows, some oranges, some nice pinky tones, some blues, some greens, and they've got a couple of whites, which is really good. You know, you can mute them down even further if you wanted to by using the whites. There's also a couple of greys in there as well, which is always handy. As for the texture, they're really, really soft and buttery, and a bit gooey, which makes them really, really nice to work with. So yeah, really nice selection of colours. So in the same pad I used for the Ecoline, I'm just going to swatch these out. I'm going to speed it up and put some music on again and come back in at the end, and I will show you how they blend. So after swatching them out, I was really, really impressed with these. The colours are so pretty and they're just really natural, well, more natural and more muted colours. They're just really pleasing on the eye. And as you can see, they blend so beautifully. They are also really buttery and smooth. They were just a pleasure to use. In comparison to the other oil pastels, the Mungyo ones that are a lot harder and they just don't blend, you can really feel the difference in the quality. I feel like there's a lot more pigment in these and they're a lot softer. So they're just, you know, for tactile, if you're a tactile person like me, they're just so lovely. They are a bit messy. So if you don't like mess, then that could be an issue. But I don't mind mess. I used to do fluid art and the mess that used to create was insane. So for me, it's not too much of an issue, but I do understand that, you know, if you don't like getting your fingers dirty, it might be, you know, it's not great, but you could always use, you know, like a glove or even like a Q-tip or some kitchen roll or something like that, so you can still get the nice effects because I feel like they're going to be so lovely to use. And you know, just to pick up an oil pastel and just even just the swatching is so satisfying. So I can imagine, as I haven't used them very much, it's going to be something I'm really going to enjoy using, and I'm looking forward to experimenting with them more and seeing what effects you can create and things like that. Um, so as you can see, they are just blending so beautifully, and the color selection is really, really nice. Um, so getting to the paler colors now at the top, that pink is really, really nice, and I can tell that's going to be really helpful for, you know, doing skin tones. I really liked the salmon pink as well. I think it's salmon pink. Hang on, flamingo. It's such a nice color. I can imagine that being great for like, you know, doing lip colors and things like that. So really excited to use that. The yellow, pale yellows at the top as well. You know, I find yellow, I'm not a massive fan of yellow, but these yellows are quite muted and yeah, just really nice colours to use. Yeah, last one now. So hope you can see that. Yeah, really, really happy with those, and I can't wait to experiment with them a little bit more. So I'm just going over and seeing how well they layer now. I've just used the blue and I've just gone over and just seen how well that layers, and you can clearly see that it does layer. So that's really good. You can also combine the colors, so you can then reblend and it, you know, creates a slightly different color, which I find really interesting, and I'm looking forward to experimenting with that as well. I also grab one of the whites and just check how well the white layers over, and you can clearly see that it does, so that's really helpful. Yeah, like I've used oil pastels once, so I'm really excited to start my oil pastel journey and just see, you know, how I get on. I'm just going to grab one of the Mungyo ones now, and I'm just going to show you a comparison of how they would layer, um, which is, you know, not as enjoyable. They're a lot more transparent. And as you can see there by the swatch in pink, it's a lot scratchier, and it's like you're pushing a load of pigment to one side and then just leaving it transparent. It doesn't really blend well, so that's not great. But anyway, really happy with that set. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to test out the Mungyo oil pastels, do a swatch of those just so you can see what they look like, what the colours are like, and then just do a little bit of a comparison with those as well. So I've swatched all of those out. Definitely tell the difference with those ones. They're a lot harder, not as buttery consistency, and very inconsistent with their transparencies and opacities. Um, some of them are very saturated, and some are very pale, and some don't have a lot of pigment. It's almost like they have like a gunky stuff that doesn't spread well. I guess it's binder, so there's more binder in it and less actual color pigment. And as you can see, I'm trying my hardest to blend, and they do a bit, but like your finger just gets stuck and it just causes a big smudgy mess. So for blending, I'd say these are not very blendable at all. So I wouldn't use it for blending. But you know, they are what they are. They're, you know, £6, very reasonable price, you know. They are what they are. I will still use them. I have used them. I tried them out briefly, and just, you know, did a little face and a little, you know, like playful portrait. And I found that they were okay and fun to do like a wax resist. So if you like texture, they can be quite fun for that. You just put like a paint over the top, watercolor, it resists the paint and it causes some quite nice effects. So I'll still use it for that. I'm just showing you now how they layer. Um, so you can layer them a little bit. I mean, I find that they just don't look good in general. So I don't know if you'd want to layer them. I'm probably using them wrong. I've, you know, this is the first time I've really, well, second time I've really used them. So definitely a lot more experimenting needed. But yeah, as you can see by the Monte Marte comparison, they are very different, and yeah, they're a lot messier. Well, messier in a way that, you know, they're just very scratchy and you can't blend them very well. They just don't want to move at all. I was getting a bit frustrated at this point, just trying to get them to move and do what I wanted them to do. But, you know, they are what they are. And apologies if anyone has these and they like them. Maybe I'm just using them wrong. If anyone who knows about oil pastels can enlighten me, I don't know, but will use them. They won't go to waste. I just need to experiment with them a bit more. So I just wanted to show off the back of that that this was just a little play around that I had with them when I got them. So they are really fun to play around with doing wax resist. So I used them for the hair and her top, and I just added similar color with watercolor, and it's created really nice visual texture. So I'll definitely be using them in the future for something that won't go to waste. So I'm now just going to have an experiment with the materials. Apologies, I filmed my camera just turns itself off after 10 minutes and then you have to reset it every time I forget. So I really tried to keep on top of it, but I'm sorry I didn't. So I'm just going to show you the footage of me playing around with the materials, as much as I managed to record. I really enjoyed just having a play around with these soft pastels. They are soft oil pastels. They were really fun to just play with. You just cannot, well, I cannot, as I don't have the experience. I couldn't be too fussy or too detailed, and so it really took the pressure off. Really, I just played around, drawing a really basic face shape, coloured in the hair, coloured in like a top, put on some lipstick, and it was really, really fun to do. Now I'm just using my finger to just do some blending. Um, it's just such they're just such a pleasure to use uh, the Montmartre pastels. I really, really do recommend them if you're interested or you have been interested in getting this set. I think they're really, really nice to use. I used the Ecoline brush pens for the skin tone. The paper that I was using, the De La Rowney mixed media pad, it's not really watercolor paper. So I do feel like the markers would look better on a proper watercolor paper, because this paper just couldn't take the pressure really. As you can see in the hair, on the hairline, um, some of the paper pile came off because I was just rubbing too hard to blend. Um, So yeah, the paper's not probably doing it justice, but the Ecoline markers for skin tones are really nice as well. I really enjoyed using them to do this. They activated okay, but I feel like they'll be better with watercolor paper, to be honest. So at the moment, I'm just using just some other watercolors just to do a bit of a background. Really, just really, I was really able to get in the zone and just experiment and just really test out the materials and have a little play. Really, I also found it really. I'm finding with oil pastels what I'm enjoying as well is once you've drawn your subject, if you've drawn a subject in oil pastel and you want to use paint, like a different, if you're doing mixed media and you want to do, like, for example, now I'm doing the background, because it resists the paint, get you don't have to worry about getting a different color paint on your edges or like ruining the edges, because it resists it, and it's so satisfying, going, like, I'm usually, if I'm going close to the edge of something I'm painting, I'm like, oh god, I'm gonna mess it up, or I'm gonna go over I'm gonna go over it, and it just doesn't happen, and it's like, it just takes some pressure off, I found. So if anyone else gets still a bit nervous about, like, painting freely, like, this really helps. I feel like the oil pastels are good for mixed media because it, can just help loosen you up and free you up a bit, which is exactly one of the reasons why I wanted to try them out. So if anyone else struggles with that, I feel like oil pastels, if you haven't tried them yet, you know they're quite fun to use, and they take that pressure off if you're a bit, like, you can't be fussy with them. You just can't, like, they're, well, you probably could. I can imagine, if you get like a penknife and you could sharpen them enough and you could make them a bit more um precise. um, you could probably be a bit more accurate, but I wouldn't want to do that. And I've seen some amazing artists using oil pastels in really amazing ways. I'm sure you can, if you are into more realistic paintings, you could do that. I just, for me, I just like that. I want something that I can just grab and think, well, the pressure's off. You can just be really free with it. And I find that they're having that effect, and they're doing the job as intended, really. So I'm really looking forward to kind of experimenting with these a lot more and seeing what they can do and what I can do with them, really. So it's been a really enjoyable video just to test them out as well, and just have a little eye opener into what they can do and what you can achieve. I just feel like the experimental part for me is like the biggest appeal of art making and being creative. It's just like that element of playfulness and aliveness that it gives you. Um, so I've had a really enjoyable experience with oil pastels so far, and I'm looking forward to just exploring the new medium of portraits. If you can't really call this a portrait, I mean, it's just playing around, but I'd like to, really learn at least, how to do accurate proportions, and then I can, repeat the process and be experimental and play around to my heart's content, really. So that's something I'm really looking forward to doing. So I'm just going in and adding a bit more, well, a little bit more color on the base. I didn't want to put too much more of the Ecoline markers on this paper because it isn't the best paper. So I just went on and experimented with some of the oil pastels. They went on quite nicely. I feel like it would be really interesting, when I'm doing a more serious painting or picture, and I'll just be able to keep adding on layers. I'm looking forward to seeing how, that's going to work in the future, just, on proper paper, or a more watercolor paper. Maybe I might even gesso some paper so it's got a bit more tooth to it, because I feel like, yeah, the hang on, it says use on textured paper, coloured card, coloured stock, card and canvas. So maybe this, you know, like the if I use it on textured paper or just use paper with, you know, a few coats of gesso, that might fare a bit better. I don't feel like this paper was textured enough. Maybe didn't have enough tooth for the oil pastel to hold on to. That's probably why I rubbed some of the peel off of the paper. So I might have a go on some gessoed paper, or I've got some wood panels. I might give it a go on some wood panels, see how it fares on that. Or, you know, some canvas. But as a first play around goes, it was, you know, quite effective, I feel. And I'm just going in with a Q-tip now, and I'm just trying to blend in some of the edges, just seeing how that fares. It's very hard to be, like I said, precise, which I enjoy. Um, it's quite effective as well. I feel like, you know, maybe with a Q-tip, that's a way of being more precise if you're more detail orientated. Using a Q-tip would be a good shout. Um, on first go, I found it a bit fiddly. I don't know why I went in and fudged around with the lips, because I feel like it made it worse. But I was just really enjoying using the pastels, and I don't think I wanted to stop. I just wanted to keep adding more bits and just playing around with it, really. So it was really a really enjoyable process, and I'm looking forward to using them much more. Okay, so my camera cut off again. My apologies. I really need to get a new camera at some point. But I didn't do too much more to this. I literally just added a little bit more of a purple tone to the neck area, and that was it really. And as for products, these Ecoline brush watercolor pens, so they're a set of 10, and they're about um £18 on Amazon. These Monte Marte Extra Soft Oil Pastels 26 pack, they are 14.99. I also purchased those from Amazon. I'm sure you could probably get them other places, but that's where I got them from. The Beautiful Faces by Jane Davenport, I bought that from World of Books, and that was £11 secondhand. I'm sure that that's also on other platforms like Amazon and things like that, but I'll put a link to where I got it from. And these Mungyo oil pastels, set of 48, I got from the range for £6.99, in case anyone's interested. So I hope that was helpful. I really enjoyed making this video, and I really enjoyed playing around with these materials. Thanks so much for watching, and hope to catch you soon. Bye!